Good evening, everyone. Sorry, good evening, everyone. I jumped the gun there. Oh dear. Anyway, I'll start again. Good evening, everyone. It's live and uncut again from One Camera, One Lens. Brilliant guest tonight. I do apologise before I start. It's a little bit of a long introduction because I think it's worthwhile you knowing how I found this guest. I'm not going to tell you his name is. Oh, you know, it's Martin Higgs. That's right. I told you in my little post. I came across Martin, as you know, everyone. I'm a member of the Arcanum. I'm in the street photography cohort with Valérie Jardin, and it's the Arcanum was set up is a brainchild of Trey Ratcliffe and a few friends, and the Arcanum has basically been created to offer an education to photographers via specialist cohorts. So we're all part of a school, and we get critique from our master, and we get critique from the members of our cohort, and that's how we learn our work as we go through. Now, each particular stage, they're called levels, and as we go through the levels, we have certain targets that are set to us. I'm now at Sphere 1 level 12, and one of those, the target for this particular level is for me to view other sessions and other critiques and other videos which we have in this vast grand library available to us. And I was clicking through some of these critique sessions, and I came across a critique session with Martin Higgs. And I've got to be perfectly honest with you, everyone. The photography that I saw here just blew me away. I don't say that lightly. I'm very critical of work which is put on my cohort. But when I see quality work that deserves to be seen, recognized, you've got to see it as well. So with that, I sent Martin a quick email, asked him if he'd join me on my show, my little old show, Live and Uncut, and he very kindly agreed. I was a bit concerned because he works nights, but I think probably Friday is a night off for him, so whatever. So first of all, let me introduce you, Martin Higgs. Martin, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi Paul, it's a pleasure. Thanks for asking me.
So as I said, Martin, I was with your in your critique session. It was a level 4 critique session, wasn't it, with Jessica?
Yeah.
The photography that you put up, I just thought this guy shouldn't really be here. He should be, in actual fact, the other side of the fence, telling people how to do this work. And in actual fact, I think Jessica was alluding to that later on. So what I want to do, this is again a slight change to my show. As people are regular listeners to the show, I'm talking a hell of a lot here, so apologies for it. I'm going to get to the nub end of it very soon. I'm going to go straight to Martin's website on a screen share so that folks can see his work. And at the same time, Martin, if you be kind, I'm going to lock the screen on you. And if you be kind enough to just talk us through your work, and fingers crossed I'm on the right one. Here we go. It all goes funny now. Martin Higgs. Is that showing now, Martin?
It is, yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go. You've got a very, very in-depth website here, and this is beauty first. And let's go to a couple of images here. Martin, if you don't mind, could you just talk us through basically how you set this sort of work up?
Okay. Well, I'm friends with lots of makeup artists, and to be honest, when I'm doing these images, it's bringing more on board, which is fantastic for me. But I've got probably 10 that I work with a lot and really enjoy working with all the time. So this is one that's from Essex, this is where I live, Bernice Beaumont, and she does an awful lot of wedding makeup. But she's got great talent, and yeah, when it comes to her getting a chance to get creative, that's what we like to do. So we just get together, find a great model, which we did here, and come up with ideas between us. She executes the makeup amazingly, and yeah, we do our best to get a great shot.
It's the obviously here what in actual fact you're doing here, in my opinion, Martin, is you are creating a superb record of quality makeup work, and that really is your job, isn't it? At the end of the day, what do you do about the lighting here, Martin? Is it straight without a
Yeah,
One
generally
one
speaking, I
flash
use
or what?
one light. Yeah, one light strobe with a beauty
Yep.
disc, and I often have two catch lights in the eyes, so I often use just a small reflector underneath to get a
Yeah.
catch light in the eyes. And
Lovely
depending on
shot.
how much shadow I want in the image will depend on, whether I'm bringing in some kind
Oh,
of black panel or whatever
yeah.
to subtract from the lighting or whatever.
That's great. We'll talk about the editing at a later stage because that's something which your master talked to you about. But
Yeah,
we'll talk about this later. This is to me, it's a straight fashion shot.
yeah, just there's
Lovely
literally
piece of
outdoors.
work.
Yeah, we're in a children's play park of all places, and
Yeah.
just found somewhere to hang up a piece of lace for the sun to shine through, and took the shot. I was lucky here because a recent makeup artist called Erin Morgana has actually introduced me to Storm, the agency. So
Hmm.
we're getting some great models from there, which is really good.
And so this the light was just straight through some kind of laced
Exactly.
tablecloth, something like
Yeah,
that.
pretty much, yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Next shot up was this one. Beautiful eye makeup here on this
Yeah.
lady here.
This is Bernice Beaumont again, just the dark background. I prefer to do beauty on a dark background. I think it really makes it pop.
Yeah, yeah,
And
it does.
the thing I'm kind of struggling with a little bit is trying to find the angles to get these beauty images right, because I look at other people
Yeah,
who have been doing it a long time, and they seem to nail it, and I'm getting there slowly, but I don't feel I've nailed it yet.
yeah. Let's move on. Sharp image here. Um,
That's working with a designer called Patrick Ian
yeah,
Hartley. Just amazing what he does, and
yeah.
basing the shoot around the design really.
Interesting image.
Yeah, just a fluorescent tube. Another makeup artist,
Uh,
shown her I work with a lot. She's fantastic.
yeah. Now these are the majority. Apart from that one we saw where they've shot through the lace, these are all studio shots. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
studio can be,
Yeah. Yeah.
somebody's flat or house or whatever. Generally speaking, we don't bother
Exactly
hiring
right.
studios.
Yeah. Clean cut image. Love it. Look at the color in the eyes there. You just. And so how many portraits that I've seen when I've gone to my club and stuff like that, the eyes are dead.
Oh, really?
These are yeah, they not your eyes, not this one. Sorry, they in my camera club, and they just can't get the lighting correct for the eyes. Here you can see clear, crystal clear eyes, and the color in her eyes. Beautiful shot, and that's just gorgeous.
Yeah, again, a lot of people
Okay,
think
let's
you need more than one light, but you certainly don't.
say again. You cut out there, Martin. Sorry.
Many people think you need more than one light, but you certainly don't.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Very true indeed. Let's go to some fashion shots. I was looking at these just early this evening. Um, I love these shots. These to me this is fun shooting this, and you've letting your imagination run wild. Who actually creates the set, Martin? Is it an idea you have and you collaborate with the?
Yeah, it's very collaborative, really.
Yeah,
In this case, we had some styling from one of the models who did the headpieces. We had some
yeah,
styling from a stylist for the clothes and that sculpture. And this was
yeah.
actually shot about 1 o'clock in the morning in a wood. And I just wanted to play with some of that electroluminescent wire, the EL wire, and just by waving it about on a long exposure gives this kind of smoky effect in the background. It probably could have done
Yeah,
better looking at it now, but like you say, you play with these things until you get them right.
exactly right. Yeah, exactly.
This was fun. This was for Britain Ireland's Next Top Model. We got to shoot all the models on the program
Yeah,
for the live show.
it's a busy shot. It's a busy shot. All that hair and the background, but you boom, you go straight to that the model's face. Great, love it. Nice one looking over the shoulder there. Look at those shoes. Wow. In the woodlands again.
I think it has to be said that, you know, everything I do is more than me by a long way. It's all teamwork, and
Yeah.
that's one of the most important
Yeah.
things to me, really, having a great team around me.
Yeah, very true. I'm just going to click to hair because there's some fantastic hairstyles here, which are, we'll come to this in a minute. Am I correct in saying the majority of these hairstyles are set for competitions?
That's right, yeah. There's some
Yeah,
big competitions in the UK, one being the British Hairdressing Awards, which is
yeah,
what we've got through to the finals 4 times in a row, which is great. And also the
yeah.
L'Oreal Colour Trophy is another big one that's run every year. And there's lots of others too,
Right.
so it's a big market.
Yeah, yeah, huge market. Yeah. So I'm just going to flick through these quickly because I just think the work that the hairstylist has done here is superb. But you have enhanced the work with, yeah, as I said in my book, just quality photography and great lighting. Look at that hair. You know, there's not a single strand that is, you know, it's part of the image. You don't get lost in it. It's not. It hasn't lost its detail.
Yeah, it's funny doing hair photography. It's very, very picky. When we're on set, you know, we are looking
Yeah,
at pretty much every hair, trying to get everything in place
yeah.
as much as possible.
I can imagine you are. I can imagine you are because you know, this obviously these stylists are looking for these photographs to be used again either on a website or maybe a brochure. Beautiful makeup there and that highlight through the hair. Well captured.
Yeah, it is good because
That
stars do use
just,
it for advertising and to put posters up in their salon,
yeah,
obviously to enter competition,
exactly.
so it's good for them.
Yeah, lovely image. There's one which I want to get to. I'm going to go back to the gallery because I just love the hairstyle. So let me just bear with me if I can get back to it. I want the. I don't think I'm going to do it. I'm going to be wasting time doing it. Yeah, I'm gonna be wasting time. So what I'm going to do is come out of screen share. Click me off. So we got you. That's it. Fantastic work, Martin. I'm really pleased for you that. And Jessica was so good, I think, with you when she was giving you the critique. You know, she was encouraging you. She was very, very positive about your work. And then when you mentioned these two other fellas, I quickly, whilst that was on, I quickly went on a double screen and look at their work. And I thought, well, yeah, I can understand where Martin's coming from. These two fellas have obviously got a head start. They've been in the business a long time, and it's good that you've got a goal, you've got an aim to get there. That's where I want to be.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is lovely. Yeah, exactly right. How did portrait photography start for you? Because 2003 you started photography, is that right? About
Yeah, right about
11
that
years
time.
ago?
Yeah, it all started with hair. Funny enough, I was
Really?
in a salon where, well, it was a barber's really, where my friend that my friend owns, and we were just chatting as you do when you get your hair cut. And he mentioned he wanted to do a shoot for something. And I just bought a camera. And I don't think at that time I'd really bought a camera because I wanted to become a photographer. I just happened to have one. And he said to me,
Yeah.
would you mind having a go at shooting something for me? So I said, yeah, sure, you know, I'll give it a go. Anyway, it was about 2 or 3 guys. He was cutting their hair and obviously doing shots for some sort of competition. I think it was the National Hair Federation at the time. And I did the shoot and the pictures came out quite well, even then. And yeah, basically, from there, he enjoyed what I'd done, and he said to me, "Would you like to come to Paris next month? Because there's a massive hair show over there. It's called the Mondial Coiffeur de Beauty, and it's like an NEC type situation, but everything was about hair." And he was doing some things on stage, and the stage was absolutely massive, and they were laying on catwalks and stuff on there, and I was allowed to stay at the front the whole time. So that was my first kind of introduction to things like catwalks, and I just loved it. Just you know, the style and the women and the music and whatever, it was just amazing.
Yeah.
So it's such a buzz, and I just continue to do it from there on. And then I think I've just fallen into people photography being my favourite thing off the back of
Yeah.
that.
So portrait photography started, but from this amazing meeting, then in having your haircut, and then obviously hairstyle followed on from that, obviously. What about the makeup side of it? Where was this already part of that scene when you started, or did that follow on afterwards?
Yeah, it is to a point, because most of these images do have great makeup in them. And I just got really close to working with a particular makeup artist called Shona Scott,
Yeah.
and her work is just absolutely unbelievable. I mean, some of the stuff you've seen, you've already seen it, but yeah, we got a great rapport, and we were producing things that were impressing the people that follow her as well. She's got quite a good following on Tumblr and all sorts now on YouTube, and yeah, like I said, when you start putting images up like that, other people get interested. So, and then it's kind of snowballed from there, really.
Yeah, it's amazing how you've built it up from there. One of the big things, because we were talking about just before the show, and I'm looking at your images before, and I know what you made a comment with Jessica. Let's talk about gear.
Okay.
And this is really getting to a stage now where I think we're getting to a point where the quality of the cameras that are now available. From my aspect, I look at work by Trey Ratcliffe, who's now using a Sony mirrorless camera, and the work that he's producing. You, interestingly enough, and I didn't realize this, you're basically using two systems.
That's right.
Could you talk about your two systems?
Absolutely. Well, anything I do that's studio based, and by studio I mean me running around with all the kit that would be in a studio, but I haven't got my own studio. I take it to salons and anywhere I need to go, a whole car full. I use Nikon gear, and I use the D800, and it does a great job, as you've seen. I don't really feel. I mean, I was lusting over a Hasselblad for ages, and nearly pressed the button on it, and then the D800 came out, and I got that, and I didn't really feel the lust anymore, because 36 megapixels does the trick for me. That's not to say that down the road I wouldn't like a Phase 1 or something similar, but I'm quite happy with how things are. And when you consider the outlay that I've had with that, as opposed to the next level up, it's so small in comparison. I've got a great glass for the Nikon as well, so I'm really happy with how things are at the moment. But when I'm not in the studio, I'm finding, like you have, Micro Four Thirds or a similar system. It's fantastic. It's just so light and easy to use. I even find the focus and stuff like that much better than the Nikon in many ways, for the sort of thing I do. I'm not trying to track action and that kind of thing. I'm trying to get a single shot. So I'm more than happy, and I like all the new features like focus peaking and showing your blown out highlights and shadows and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I love it.
So let's talk about this a little bit more, because these are two very diverse systems, and we know I've read a lot. I was a big Nikon user myself, as my guests and my viewers will know, and I switched out of Nikon because I didn't like the direction they were going. I didn't think I wanted something more retro. I wanted something more portable. For the type of work that I do. And I say work is my hobby. I'm a street photographer, so that suits me down to the ground. But now we're getting to a point where I think mirrorless are starting to catch up very, very fast to what we would term as the full frame cameras, like the Nikon D800 as an example. Do you find this a problem with regards to the quality that is required for your work? By that I mean, if I could just quantify it, I'm assuming that a Nikon D800, 36 megapixels, full frame, you've got an amount of detail there which, to a degree, some magazines are going to demand. Do you personally feel, though, that the 4/3 is getting close there to counter that?
I've had stuff published 4/3 already, and it looks amazing when it's printed.
Have you really?
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. The only thing is, when you're trying to do real detailed stuff, like the real close-up makeup or whatever, I find it's not quite there, and I don't think the noise capability is quite as good as the Nikon just yet for the high end. But having both systems is ideal for me right now, because, like I say, if I'm going to do a job where I can actually take a big pelly case full of kit in the car, it's not a problem. But if I want to go and walk around a set or a location, it's much easier to take the other kit, and it works great.
Exactly right. And then obviously from my aspect now, I'm reading so many photographers now are switching into the Fuji system. Zach Arias, you probably know of, Dave Hobby, another example, Kevin Mullins, who, as it turns out, Kevin has agreed to come on my show in a couple of weeks' time. I'm super delighted about that, and we're going to be talking a lot about the Fuji system. And it is something which I think with the old argument now of there's not enough separation. Can't get the bokeh, for want of a description, right. Yes, the sports photography is always going to go for the big end camera like Nikon and Canons because of their fast shutter speed rate and obviously the focusing ability. But when we're now looking at your type of work, street photography type of work, fashion style work, there's a lot of photographers now considering the possibility that I don't need a full frame camera anymore. I can get away with either 4/3 or 1.5 crop like the Fujis.
Yeah, absolutely. I seriously think I bought my last DSLR, quite possibly.
Yeah, there's a lot of people,
you know, needing a replacement in a hurry or something like that. I think I bought my last one. I think the way things are going, definitely.
But do you think, really, where you are now, do you think that you would consider, say, for argument's sake, a mirrorless full frame camera like the Sony A7? Would that be something you'd be interested in?
I'd love to try one because I don't think there'd be any difference.
Yeah.
I think it would be up to the mark. The only thing that put me off the Sony originally was the choice of lenses, but obviously that's going to get resolved as time goes by. But
exactly, they're building very, very slowly with some very good quality lenses, but of course at the same time there's a lot of photographers now who are getting the adapters on there and doing manual focus, and probably, I wouldn't know for sure, but you'd be able to tell me, whether working in portrait photography, whether autofocusing is an essential, or whether you could work with manual focusing lenses.
No, because you take your time over your shots, so I wouldn't say it's essential. It's nice to have, but it's not essential.
Yeah, that's right. So let's get down to one of the things which your master talked about: editing.
Okay.
She wants. I think she was very polite in saying that she'd like to see you doing a little bit more of your own editing.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that some photographers can do both. Some photographers can, as Trey Ratcliffe has said many times, post-process unapologetically as much as he wants.
Yeah.
But in the old days, when we go back to the David Baileys of this world, all these greats, Norman Parkinson and Lord Litchfield and Snowden, those guys that did the portrait for O'Neill, another one, they didn't actually do the editing, did they? They didn't do the printing. They took the photograph. They had their guys working with them, and the imagery was then taken away into editing. But let's get back to yourself. How do you go about your editing as things stand at the moment, Martin?
Okay, well, most of the issue is time. Because I've got a full-time job as well as doing this part-time, you know, you have to kind of wisely spend it doing the things you want to do most. Now, I actually prefer shooting to editing. And at the level that I need to be at for doing the beauty and the hair, more often than not, people are paying for retouchers to do it. And let's face it, a retoucher isn't just somebody that knows Photoshop well. They are an expert, absolute expert.
Yeah.
And for me to get to that level would take an awful long time, and I may not even be able to reach the same level that I'm getting now. And I can't really afford to spend 3 hours plus per image for everything I do. I'd rather be out shooting, producing more work, and then giving it to someone that really knows what they're doing, just as I would with, you know, having a mechanic sort my car out. Some people tinker, but you know, get the experts in. So
that's a very good point, actually.
I'm certainly not a control freak. So many photographers, I know quite a few, that say, "Oh no, I couldn't have anybody else touch my work. I want it to be me all the way through," and that's fine. I can understand that. But I think if you're doing this commercially and you're shooting a lot, you know, you just haven't got enough hours in the day to retouch it all. And you know, I've seen some really big names, like you said, that offload their retouching, and you know, I've got no qualms about it at all, and I think I'm one of them.
Yeah, so, and I think you make a very good point there, because your work is commercial work. You let's not mince words here. You don't want to muck it up, basically, and lose the opportunity of it being a printed idea in a magazine or in a showroom, or whether it's a salon or that, because of poor editing. You want it bang on, top quality, the image being created how you wanted it created, well, along with your stylist and everything else, so that at the end of the day you get the reward for that.
And let's make it clear, you can't just go out to any old retoucher and say, right, here's my images, and they come back looking exactly like you want them. I spent a long time going through several different people, and I found that some required constant toing and froing about, would you like this, would you like that, is this the right or is this wrong? And that became a bit of a pain. And then I found Stefka Pavlova, which is based in Germany, and I would send her an image, and she sent it back to me, and I think, wow, that's amazing. It was, to be honest with you, it's like Christmas when they come back. They're just, it's stunning. And we rarely have to have things going backwards and forwards unless a client's getting involved as well, and they might like, you know, a little touch here or there that we haven't seen, or they want something slightly different. But yeah, it's just brilliant. I can send her an image, and maybe in a day or two time it will come back, and I really don't have to have much more to do with it. It's just the style that I'd like to be, but it does take time. I mean, I've seen some retouching done from people in other countries, and there's definitely a cultural difference in how they edit.
Yes.
And yeah, if that doesn't suit your style, let's say, for example, you might have gone to India for it, and they've got the Indian culture there that affects how they retouch.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
And I think the European style suits my work, and in this case, I think I've nailed the right person.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't even think that you would be sending your work out to Germany, a person in Germany, to do the work. So, how are you transferring it? Well, obviously, just a straight Google Drive type thing, or
yeah, we use Dropbox or something like that. Yeah, definitely.
Dropbox, yeah, something like that. Yeah, and there's no loss in quality going through Dropbox.
No,
it's a raw file you're sending.
Yeah, it's a raw file, and she sends me back a PSD or a TIFF. And I can do with it what I like from there. And quite often the images come back, and I might change the colouring slightly or whatever. But you know, all the skin work and stuff's been done. The eyes will look amazing. Hair's great, and I don't need to do any more of that. It's more of a kind of colour preference situation, really.
That comes back from your editor is effectively ready to go to print, yeah? Absolutely,
yeah.
Yeah. Do you print yourself, or is that again outsourced?
I'm no Martin Bailey. Again, printing I find so frustrating. I mean, I just had little printers where the ink would dry up, and you know, you get streaks all over the page, and it was just an absolute nightmare. If you don't print regularly, printers are an absolute pain in the rear. So I've got another photographer friend that's based in Chelmsford, where I live, and he's gone from one of these massive format printers, and he prints really well, and he uses great paper. So anything I need doing to give to my clients, he does, and everybody's over the moon, because generally speaking, it's, well, if you went to a great lab that offered you all the different papers, I'm sure you'd get a similar result. But if you go somewhere like a high street place to get it done, you're going to get their standard range of paper, and it's not quite so good. But yeah, he does a great job for me, and I'm quite happy for him to get on and do that, because I don't want to print.
No, you don't want to get involved with that, no. How do you actually go about showing your work? But obviously, great website you've got. You've obviously created a portfolio where do you get out on the street and knock on doors? That sort of approach.
Well, this is the next thing. I mean, you mentioned earlier, I actually work permanent night shift. So I work from 10 o'clock at night till 5 in the morning, and I drive to and from London about an hour each way, and then try and fit some sleep in between that and taking photos. So knocking on people's doors is something I need to do if I ever want to get on further here, because I think you need to be marketing an awful lot of your time if you're going to really make it. Yeah. But yeah, that is the next step.
That's one of the things I think that Martin mentioned and Valerie when they were talking on a podcast I watched once, and they said that the dream of being your own your photographer, the dream that you want to be, but as soon as you start doing it, photography takes very much a big backstage situation. It sort of reduces from about 80% of your time to about 20% of your time.
Yeah, and I don't want to be in the situation.
Other 80 is marketing.
I don't want to be in the situation where I'm shooting anything just to make some money. I want to be shooting what I want to shoot. And right now, because I've got a full-time job, I can pick and choose, and it's great. But I think if I was to stop doing the full-time job and I was doing this to make a buck, then obviously you're going to have to take on anything you can to make sure you're earning enough, unless you're really lucky. I'm realistic about that.
Yeah, I must be honest. If unfortunately those outside of the Arcanum won't be able to watch your critique, because it's exclusive, so to speak, for the members of the Arcanum. But if anyone watches it, you'll see the comments which Jessica made to you, where get yourself out there and start advertising your work and start knocking on doors. But it is easier said than done, isn't it? When you've got a daytime work job, in your case a nighttime job, you got to put the food on the table and pay the mortgage, and you got to find an even balance how to work it out, and it is difficult.
And the market I'd like to get into, which is the more of the hair competition thing, you know, you're eventually going to be stepping on the toes of people that have produced great images for these clients already, and you know, people do have loyalties. So for them to say, "Oh no, we're going to try somebody new," it's quite a big step. So probably bigger than most situations, you know.
Yeah, that's true. I can understand. Is that we have that in my business as well, where you make an approach to a company, say, "Can we build your exhibition stand?" And they go, "Well, really, why should we switch when we've been very happy with our supply for the last 4 or 5 years?"
Exactly.
You can talk about cost and say, "I'll bring the cost down to meet your budget," but then I don't. Be quite honest with you, I don't think it works that way. I don't think you should cheapen your skills. If you think your value is £1,500 a session, then I think you should say that's my price, £1,500 a session. I read a lot on some of the Facebook pages where wedding photographers are saying how we want to do this work, but then the bride says, "Well, we can't afford that. We'll give you £250," and I'm saying to myself as I'm reading it, saying, no, stick to your guns. You got your price value. You got your added value in the work that you create for them. Stick to your guns. This is my price. And okay, if they want to go elsewhere, let them go, because they'll only give you hassle at the end of the day.
This is true.
Because as you know, whenever you cut cost, something has to be cut off what you're creating.
Yes, definitely.
Whether it is a case of cutting the editing skills, cutting the printing skills, you're now meeting their value, and that's not your value.
Yeah, I'm finding more and more now that clients like to set their own rate.
Yeah, that's the other trick, isn't it? I'll give you this, and then it's the old carrot dangling, which gives you. If you do this for me, I'll do that for you. No, it doesn't work that way. You really got to stick your neck out and your chin out and say, no, this is my rate. I'm here. Take it or leave it.
Paul, I did an awful lot of that, where people were promised this will lead to more work and that kind of stuff, and it very rarely did. So I'm the same now. I avoid that like the plague.
And you're right to do so, because let's be honest, if someone's made contact with you, they can see the value of your work. And that's the way that I think you got to stick with it, you know. And I think when I say you, I'm saying to every photographer out there.
Absolutely.
I don't think street photographers really come into this, because it's a type of work which is not. You're not going to earn a lot of money from street photography unless your name's Henri Cartier-Bresson, basically. But that said and done, if you've got a value, the value is in what you're producing, and anyone that tries to get you on the cheap will basically lose out, because some part of that production which you're giving them, something's going to give. Something is going to give. Normally at this stage of the show, Martin, I start thinking about giving my guest 5 names of photographers, but we're not going to do that, because I'm just trying to change the show around a little bit. So what I really at this stage, I wanted to talk about your all-time favourite photographer. Now, you very kindly, I say in interview, I'm looking at the word now, you very kindly sent me the name of this fella. So I'm going to have a crack at it, and if I get it wrong, I no doubt we'll get an email from someone. Ludovic Taillandia. I think that's right, Taillandia.
Sounded French.
It's only French, is he? Right, okay. So what I'm going to do, let's go to share screen again, or screen share. I've reinvented a name for Google there. And let's have a look at the work of Ludovic Taillandia. And you just talk me through his work. Has that come up?
Yeah, it has. Yeah.
Is it there? Can you see it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
right,
this
guy.
Give
me 1 second. I'm gonna right on me, Ludovic. Okay, that should be full screen now for you. Is that okay?
It is. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Great.
So this guy,
off you go then. Tell me where to go.
I either find him inspirational, or he makes me want to give up. So you click on the title there. That's it.
Yeah. Just explain to my viewers here. I'm in Martin's hands here, because I've never ever heard of this photographer. and I can see why Martin likes him immediately.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you're going to want to stick to the beauty and stuff because he starts to get a bit interesting with the nudes and whatever. But yeah, his work is just outstanding. I mean, the clarity, the retouching, and it's just like a goal. This is how good I want to be. So yeah,
this is your target. This is great.
It makes me want to cry when I see his stuff. It's just like, oh my god, how did he do that?
You've given me a little bit of a sort of a scare now because I'm going to be careful where I actually go to the next one because there's no preliminary. I'm okay for the moment, yeah.
I think on beauty you're fine, yeah.
Good. I'm going to stick to beauty then.
So you can see there's an element of what I'm trying to do, but like I said, his angles and whatever seem to be spot on, and this is what I've really got to learn. Again, lighting, he's embracing shadows, which is something I need to do more and more.
Yeah.
I don't know what he uses to shoot with, but the clarities are just unbelievable. So it probably is a phase 1 or a Hasselblad or something, I imagine. But
I can only assume, obviously, full frame. You may well be right. Maybe a phase 1.
Yeah, probably medium format some sort. But let's face it, if you get to this time, then you should be able to get campaigns for the big makeup brands and that kind of stuff without any trouble at all. So that would be great.
Fantastic work.
Yeah, it's really good.
Super hairstyles.
Yeah, so the others watching would probably like to see some of the stuff on the other tabs in their own time, but yeah, it's all stunning.
I'm not going down. I see it's old times, and do you see this one down here? I'm just circling it now. Nudes. I am not touching that one just for this time of the evening, folks. Amazing work. Okay, let's just try advertising. Let's just see what he's got in here for advertising. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just flawless.
It is, isn't it? It'd be very, very intriguing, interesting from your angle to find his setup.
Yes.
Camera, lighting. If there was a way you could find that out, that'd be really great. I came across a photographer, I don't know whether you've heard of him at all, Alex Lambrecht. I was very fortunate to go on a workshop with him. He does a lot of fashion, fashion lifestyle type photography for a number of magazines. And he uses Fuji X100S and the XT1. And that was the main reason I went on his workshop, really. But the one thing that I found with his work, you may want to sort of check him out after the show. Angles.
Yeah.
It's not the straight bang portrait face on. It's tilted. It's angled, and it's looking up. It's looking down, and it's all these different angles, and the uses of shadow as well, which is so important. And a lot of it, in actual fact, is introduced afterwards in Lightroom, where knocking back the shadows and just increasing the highlights a little bit, just to sort of emphasize shadows which probably are not there in the first place in any case. But yeah, he's a good one from my aspect for perhaps one of you, for you to just have a quick check out. Alex Lambrecht. I'll send you the email afterwards. And
right. Yeah, it's spot on with the angle thing, because let's face it, that's what makes us different from anybody else taking an image, isn't it? Because if we can explore different angles by getting in low or high or whatever on the same subject, you're getting something that someone may not see very often, and that's the point of difference.
Yeah.
But you can help. You can try and get Ludovic on the show, and we'll find out all about it.
Well, that's maybe an idea. Actually, it's given me a thought. But as you say, if he's French, I have a smattering of French, but I don't think we'll have to find out.
You might speak English. You never know.
I'll send him an email. You never know. You never know. Let's talk about the Arcanum very quickly, Martin. Just becoming how are you finding the Arcanum yourself? Are you enjoying it? I'm
loving it. It's fantastic. It was a big shock to get picked in the beginning because Miss Agnella was our master, and I absolutely
Right,
adore
okay.
her work. And it's nothing like mine.
Yeah.
It's on a totally different kind of
Mm.
outlook, really. She's very creative, and her imagery is just stunning. But sadly, after a few weeks, she had to leave because I think she was getting to a point in her career where things were really starting to take off for her. She's just done the
Right,
Nikon
okay.
D810 campaign, and she's doing more with them. I think she's going to photo Kina for them and
Oh,
various other
really? Right.
things. And of course, she's doing all these experience, fashion experiences where she's going to places like Iceland with groups of people, and she's also
Yeah.
taking her images there at the same time. And I can totally understand why she had to leave. And yeah, that's just one of those things. But now we're under Jessica Lark, and she's
Yeah.
fantastic too. She does some amazing boudoir work, and she's fantastic. But she's so driven and has the same effect on us. It's just fantastic, and her critiques are spot on.
Yeah.
No, I love it. I think we're all going to do really well under her, even though maybe it's a totally different direction to what we would have had under Miss Aniela.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yes, I know Miss Aniela's work quite a lot. I've watched a lot of her. There's been some YouTube programs. I've seen her interview with Trey Ratcliffe and that sort of thing, and obviously studied her website. And yes, some very, very clever work there by Miss Aniela. But I must be honest, when I saw Jessica talking to you guys with regards and very forthright, bang, straight, telling you straight how your work looks. I thought some of the critiques that she's done, I thought were very, very, very good. I'm in the same situation with Valerie. She's just a superb street photographer herself, and this is the advantage. I had loads to say about the Academy in my introduction, but I cut a lot of it out. I think this is the advantage which we get from this apprentice learning from the masters, which is an old school style which should be enhanced more for other skills around the world, not just photography. But
So,
to basically have your master talking to you as well every, what is it, five levels, but in the meantime you're getting comment from your fellow members of your cohort. It's so valuable. I've said this before, and I don't mind repeating it. I learned more about street photography in 5 weeks of 5 episodes of being on in the Arcanum than I did of 5 years being a member of a photographic club.
yeah, that's fantastic.
Because street photography is just, well, it's street photography. Is it telling a story? No, it's not. I don't like it, and move on to the next one. And I would think that if ever you were a member of a photographic club, I think getting quality, detailed critique of your work would be few and far between. So it's being a member of the Arcanum is extremely valuable to me. Extremely valuable.
Yeah, me
Learn
too. And
every
you
minute
do
of
get
it.
attached to the people you're with as well. I mean,
Yeah,
there's obviously 20 others in my group.
yeah.
Jessica, amazingly, looks after 2 cohorts, so she's got over 40 people, I think. How she manages,
Wow.
I have no idea, along with her own work. But she does, and she puts
Yeah.
the time in, and it's unbelievable. She's like Superwoman.
I didn't realise that. So, are they both of the same genre, so to speak, on your work, or has she
Not quite.
got one general?
Not fully au fait with the other group, but yeah, it's slightly
Yeah.
different from ours.
I think that's the only thing that I would say about the Arcanum. I know when you get to Sphere 1, we are going to be allowed to, I say allowed, that's the wrong word, but there will be the facility for us to talk to other people in different cohorts. And so the Arcanum spreads even more. But at the initial foundation level, you're just within your cohort. And I think for me, I know a couple of people outside my cohort with other friends of mine that are with other groups, general photography and different styles. So it's an opportunity for me to talk to them. But it would be really good to get together on hangouts such as this and talk to them about how you're finding things. But there we got the Grand Library. We can go back to the Grand Library at any time and check out what's going on. But I think it's just a fantastic setup, and it's just going to get bigger
Goal as
and
well.
better as it goes on, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got a goal to become a master as well. I'd love to be doing that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Jessica made the comment in your critique there, and you got to have goals in your life, and I think you've got 2 very important goals. You've set one for yourself. You want to get where those 2 fellas are with the fashion and hairstyling and makeup photography, and then why not stick another one in? Want to be a master? Go for it. Why not?
Yeah, I've done a little bit of training as well with a friend of mine who runs a training company, and it's very satisfying showing people the ropes, even if it's basics.
Yeah.
When they get the idea of how to do things, and you've helped them get there, it's very satisfying. I love it.
Yeah, it's nice to sort of part some knowledge onto someone else, isn't it?
And it is just like the whole reason for being a photographer and enjoying it is when you take that shot, look at the back of the camera, and think, oh my God, I think I might have actually nailed this one, and you just get that fantastic feeling. It's just the same if you're showing someone else how to do it, and they walk away with some extra knowledge. It's got a great feeling as well. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Have you ever come across a time where you're this is probably when I suppose it's a bit difficult for yourself because the majority of your work is sort of, dare I use the term, laid out for you and a suggested target of work to be done. But do you ever get to a situation where you've got a little bit of a block and you don't know what to do next?
I think most people get that occasionally.
Yeah.
If I had to do the whole shoot start to finish with completely my own ideas, I think there would be a struggle because I'm not really that artistic, if I'm honest. I'm more technical, I think. So yeah, obviously now the way I do my work, generally speaking, with makeup artists when we do these kind of collaborations, is we will send each other ideas and come up with something that's a bit of a joint thing rather than completely all one side. So I do feel involved in that manner, but yeah, I do consider it to be more technical. I try and nail the shot by going through all the methods I can think of to get it right. You know what it's like when you're on a shoot. You may be quiet, but it's racing around in your head. Have you got everything set correctly, and is the light in the right position, and can you see the highlights in the eyes and all that kind of stuff? All that's racing around, and people don't realise.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing when you think about it, the work you're doing there, which basically you can see an immediate record on the back of your camera, whereas when you look back at what the likes of the Litchfields and the David Baileys and the
I've got loads of respect for those guys that
exactly.
What they had until they got in the darkroom.
But they knew though, they had the image, didn't they? They got that. I got that. Yeah, it's quite amazing.
Yeah, I've never shot.
What does Martin Higgs do with his camera when he's not working?
When I'm not working, I don't really go out and shoot a great deal of other stuff, if I'm honest. If I'm going out with a family, I might take out the Olympus and stuff and do some bits and bobs. But often, if you're out with a family, the last thing they want is for you to be stopping every 5 minutes and taking 5 minutes to take a shot, because otherwise they just don't get anywhere, do they? I'm sure that happens to everybody.
I just did that on my last holiday.
Exactly. Yeah, so I do try and calm down a bit when we're with him.
The last holiday I was taking a photograph of something which was really interesting me, and I turned around and I saw my daughter, and I went, right, I know where she is. Carried on taking the photograph. I was trying to take a street portrait of a lady. I was in Venice actually, and she had one of these masks on, and I was just waiting for her to turn around and say, "Can I take your photograph?" And I thought, there's my daughter. Got it, no problem. Took the photograph, turned around. Where's my daughter? Where's my wife? I lost them.
Absolutely, yeah.
In the middle of Venice. Yeah.
It's okay. Hang on a minute. I'll catch up with you, and then they're a mile on the road.
They're gone. Why didn't you wait for me? Oh, I can't wait for you taking photographs all the time. So you don't sort of just go out and take photographs on your own and walk about, do some street photography, that sort of thing, or landscape.
I must admit, it's something that's starting to appeal to me more. I think now I've got some bigger lenses for my Olympus because I like to be standoffish, if you like, and not because I'm horrible, but just I don't particularly want to get too close to people. I'd rather just shoot from a distance. So now I probably will do more of it. I must admit, I love going to things like the South Bank and seeing what's going on around there. It's always very lively and all sorts going on. So yeah, I think I will be doing more of that. But I'll probably
it sounds to me, Martin, if you come on a street photograph walkabout with me, you're going to be on the other side of the road and I'm going to be in front of the guy taking the photograph.
Oh really? You like to
be the candid shooter? You got to. It's take off the 7300 and put on the 27 or 35mm and get in close. It's great.
See, I'd find that uncomfortable. Going up to people saying, "Do you mind if I take the shot off the street?" That is quite a talent, I must admit. You've got to be ballsy.
Well, it is, and thanks for mentioning that. But I had a hangout with some friends of mine from the cohort, and we were talking about street portraits, and it is a very, very difficult line to cross. There's no doubt about it. And there's one lady in our group who's so shy on our regular get-togethers. She very rarely makes a comment, But apparently, when she's out there with her husband, boom, she's straight in there. She goes straight up to these guys she's never met before, starts chatting. Do you mind if I take your photograph? No, not at all. Gets the photograph, walks away. She's lovely. She gets these great, great street portraits. Anyway, in the conversation, we were talking about this, and she said, "What are you doing the weekend, Paul?" So I said, I'm going to go up to Covent Garden and take some street shots." She said, "Get me 5 portraits. Go get 5 portraits." And I said, "Okay." She said, "If you feel uncomfortable getting 5, just get 3. But you go and get those for me." And do you know what? I got 7.
That's great. I mean, you sometimes
I just needed a target. I just
needed a push.
I needed a push, and really, it's that push which has made me start my 100 portraits of strangers portraits, whichever way you want to call it, on my blog. So I'm really pleased with it. But I just needed that push, that little target.
Well, it's funny you say that, because we had a little task on our cohort the other day to do a self-portrait. I hate having my photo taken with a passion. I really do.
Yeah.
That's why I'm always behind the camera. There's hardly any pictures, family pictures of me in them.
Yeah.
It's bad, really.
Yeah.
But this was the task, so I got the camera out and I did it. It looked horrendous, but it pushed me out of my comfort zone, and sometimes you need that.
Yeah. And that going back, you're saying pushing out your comfort zone is what we got when I had the workshop with Alex Lambrex. I'm going to take you out of your comfort zone, because he wanted to move you away from the straight one-on portrait, face-to-face, bringing the angles, bringing in the movement blur, bringing all these sort of things. And you need that when you go along to these workshops, or whether you go out with a friend. Someone needs to probably just give you a little bit of a push, a little bit of a target. And if you do it, it's just a great feeling. They said, "There's the photograph, I've got it, I've done it, and now I can move on."
Perhaps we have to get together at some stage and give it a try. You can see if I can do it or not.
Yeah, I think probably. Well, you're not too far away. You're in Chelmsford. I'm in Bromley, just south of London. I think we'll have a meet up in London, do a bit of walkabout, and you ain't bringing that 7300. No way. You're leaving that at home. If you do bring it, I'm confiscating it. Martin, it's been absolutely great talking to you. We've been on just short of an hour, which is absolutely great. I've thoroughly enjoyed looking at your work and talking to you. All the power to you in your future. And what actually? Let me just ask you one question, because there is something I'm not made of. What actually is your future plans?
Well, the future plans, I think, like you said, is to get out and start trying to market myself more, trying to approach, other businesses to see if they want some work done. Taking it from there, really. And on the training side too, I think I'd like to progress with that more.
Yeah.
So those two aspects.
Yeah, I think that obviously could be a nice lead-in if you do start doing workshops. That may help forwarding your name.
And it's funny, isn't it?
We'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, let's hope so. You don't want to be big-headed and say, "Oh, I can train you now because I can do this." But people seem to enjoy it, so I'm happy with it. So.
Exactly right. Advertise if people want to be involved with some of your workshops, and it's not a case of being big-headed. You've got a skill there, you've got a knowledge. You can see that in the imagery, and it's all power to you, mate. Go for it. I say go for it. As I said a short while ago, Martin, thank you so much for joining me today. I've really enjoyed talking to you and looking at your work, and also studying Ludovic's work. I'm not going to say that surname. Ludovic's fine. Leave it at that. And so anyway, yes, to my viewers, as you know, it's the end of the show, and yeah, that's right. It's leave your camera bag at home, guys. All the best to you. Bye for now.
Bye.